Stop. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vichaline Nivasishya Shunyavadi Vashtatara Satadine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I guess confirm your speaking language. Okay, English, correct. Okay, things come up. Things are coming up on my screen. Hare Krishna Vachandravali, Gauda Premanandi. Yeah, I just was apologizing for the change in time back and forward, but I have to play it by ear because the classes here in Mayapur have started for the temple worship module. So I'm busy, but I'm going to try my best to maintain the classes, but I shall keep you informed on a daily basis, you know. All right. So anyone could recall what we spoke of last week? And I only know because I've got the book in front of me. I might have had trouble remembering as well. But anyone recall the word Tat Bhava?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What's the overall subject that we're speaking about at the moment?
Separation.
Separation, otherwise known as Vipralambha.
Vipralambha.
Yeah. And Maharaj is speaking about specifically of, because I think that's Mother Lavanga, I think she spoke on behalf of many of us perhaps, that sometimes we can't relate to this, or we may not feel this so much, this feeling of a separation from Krishna. I mean, we may or we may not. But it is an important principle in the practice of sadhana. It's the bhava, it's the mood by which our sadhana should be accompanied with when we chant, etc. It should be one of calling for Krishna. And if we're calling for, that means we're separated. So Maharaj is giving, at this point, some ways that we can invoke and experience these feelings of separation from Krishna. And he's using the term tat bhava. Yeah? And he gives the example just like when you hear. Yeah, okay, I'll just read this part. Why not? Most men have experience of the metamorphosis that simply a name can conjure within one's being. When a lusty man hears the name of a beautiful woman and dwells on her, he envisages, excuse me, the lady in his mind begins to think of a romantic encounter, and when fully absorbed in lusty thoughts, his body quickly becomes sensibly agitated. Yeah. So then he becomes affected. Yeah. So Tat Bhava is, quoting here, is the transformative potency of conveying images and impressions through the agency of sound, therefore inducing psychological and physiological. Psychological means subtly, and physiological even means a change of body. Yeah, changes in the hearer. So that's possible even on the material platform. That's possible on the material platform. And it's a basic principle of associating on the spiritual platform. Yeah. So if we hear, or if we hear about devotees who are experiencing this Vipralambha, then we can tune in to some degree their mood, and it can rub off on us. Yeah, prayers like we mentioned many times, Northern Das Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, etc. Yeah. So Maharaj is given that that's a practice that we should be aware of. Yeah. All right, that's where we kind of left off last week. All right, so we'll pick it up here. Any off the bat questions?
What was that sentence you read about that for devotees? I mean, you read about lusty men, but for a
Yeah, this is this he mentions what that example of a man just hearing the name of a woman he has attraction to. It causes changes, both psychologically and was it both psychologically and physiological. That's just a mundane sound.
yes,
So when you hear spiritual, such sound which is saturated with, which is absolute, and it's spiritual in essence, you can also pick up, you can also share the mood of what is being, of the mood of which that is being expressed. So if you read about, you hear about Vipralambha, then it will rub off on you. Yeah.
yes.
All right.
When you
So
hear
then just
that, yep.
continuing then, yeah. So okay, now just continue reading then. Now, did I say prayers to Srila Prabhupada?
I got in a bit late, so let's
Just in case I didn't, let me say again. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Sante Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vishane Nivasesha Sunyavadi Pashtatara Satadini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so now Marge says, now if mundane sound and ideas have such power, what then of the spiritual sound vibration, shabda? You know how the shabda Brahman, spiritual sound, yeah. The same principle, tapava, transcendental sound, invokes spiritual transformations in the hearer. The more empowered the sound, or the more pure, you could say, and empowered, the greater the spiritual effect. Similarly, a specific spiritual sound has a corresponding effect. The general principle is laid out by the Vedanta, Anuvritti Shabdat. Only one is liberated by spiritual sound. Okay, so the Maha Mantra is spiritual sound. But we often obscure it, yeah? We put clouds in front of the sun. So although the sun is forever resplendent, we put clouds in front. So therefore,
So that's why Srimad, sorry for interrupting, jumping
effect.
quick. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, it's so powerful because it comes from authorized sound.
Yeah, that's it. It comes for the, that's why Srila Prabhupada himself would, he would say it in great humility, but in factuality, he had to establish and show this point that his Bhagavad Gita, as it is, done what no other Bhagavad Gita translation has ever done before. It made many thousands of people into devotees. Yes, thank you, Mother Mongol. Because of the purity of that Shabda, that spiritual sound. So very powerful. And remember that creation comes from sound, all right? The whole of creation comes from sound vibration. Even the Christians, let's say, in the beginning was the Word. Yeah?
And the word was God.
And the Word was God. Yeah. Okay. Spiritual sound makes a liberating impression on the hearer, of course. Liberation may mean many different things depending on the subject and purpose of spiritual sound. It may mean either attaining detachment from all that is material, acquiring the seed of devotion, attraction to the Supreme Lord, love for Krishna, or it may mean being submerged in great feelings of separation from Radha's lover. Right, so it's going to be experienced differently according to the recipient. Okay. For a Gaudiya Sadhaka, that's us, okay? We are Gaudiya Sadhakas. Especially for one who is at the stage of Smaran. Smaran means
Meditating.
Yeah, it means remembrance.
Listening, meditating.
Yeah,
Remember.
smaran. Yeah. So it's a particular stage in particular stage in bhajan where one's enhances one's bhajan through hearing lila, smaran. Yeah. So yeah, for the subject matter for hearing is Krishna's pastimes in Raja. Yeah. So devotees, they may meditate on Ashtakali Lila, accomplished Vaishnavas, and they will do a sadhana of hearing about that so that they can remember that. Yeah. In the Lord's original abode, his mercy, beauty, qualities, and pastimes are manifest to ultimate perfection. By hearing of them, a devotee tastes the limit of attraction to him. So by hearing it, yeah, without even being there, just by hearing about it. Sanatana Goswami calls the splendor of Krishna's pastimes Vilas Lakshmi, and points out that they have a magical power to awaken prema within the heart. Okay. That awakening process takes place as soon as a devotee begins to hear Raj Leela. And when a thoughtful devotee carefully contemplates those pastimes with attention during Nam Sankirtan, then love for Krishna is imbued with feelings of separation. Let me read it. Then love for Krishna imbued with feelings of separation begin to mature in his consciousness. Okay. So when we're in Kirtan, we're supposed to be remembering Krishna, not just banging the cartels. We have to bang the cartels, we have to play the drum, we have to, beware, but it should be reminding us of Krishna. And Krishna comes along with his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yeah. And that will be, and one is feeling that, one is remembering that, and one will feel for that. One will feel that one wants to be one with that. One wants to absorb oneself in, one wants to experience that. So that's, yeah, so feelings of separation begin to mature. All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a question.
Please, yeah.
I was thinking, because you mentioned about banging the kartals, that but sometimes if you're going to be really seeing the rhythm, so maybe you can get a little bit lost with that, remembering Krishna.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, Prabhupada would often. There's many instructions you can find of Prabhupada, where he explains to devotees that don't be too attached to the musical side of it. The most important thing is the actual sound vibration, where sometimes we can get over.
Oh, I lost. Oh.
We lost Molly Prabhu.
Connection.
Yeah, it's
lost.
Prabhu, not us.
Oh, I thought I was the only
The
one.
signal comes from Goloka Vrindavan. Will take a bit of time.
Take a bit of time.
Too many interferences in the material world.
Special delivery, delayed.
Ah, you're back.
Haribol Prabhu, you have to repeat it.
All right, okay. Sometimes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would have the worst singer sing. Yeah. The type of singer where good singers will leave the temple room. He would do that.
Sometimes I see Kirtanias like stop somebody doesn't play correctly, they will stop, and somebody is singing, they will say no. I've seen that many times. Most of the Kirtanias, they do.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to, there has to be a certain level because it's a presentation for Krishna. The kirtan is for Krishna's pleasure. So we do want the cartels to be played in time. We do want,
of course, yes,
these things should be in place, but let us not forget that the most important principle, we're not supposed to be good musicians. We're supposed to be good devotees of Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhupada wrote that in a letter. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's a big sub, but yeah, okay. Okay, where do we get? Yeah, okay. Such perfection is made possible by the innate potency invested in the words describing the Lord's pastimes. So there's potency contained within that sound, within the sound, yeah, the ex-Krishna's pastimes. Materialists may not understand, but it is a transcendental reality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addresses Krishna saying, Nam Namakari Bahoda Nija Shava Shaktis. Yeah, so Sava Shaktis, all these potencies are invested in his holy names. Yeah. So how many potencies does the Krishna have? Unlimited. They're all invested in the holy name. But then what's the next line? Oh my Lord, I have no attraction for them. I am do daivam. I'm so unfortunate. I have no attraction. And so it is with the Lord's pastimes. They are pervaded by a power to vanquish all material contamination and evoke spiritual emotions to the summit of Vipralambha Bhav. Sukadeva Goswami explained this power of Krishna's pastimes when he revealed the eternal identity of Nanda and Yasoda. Excuse me. The sage quoted Drona and Dada saying, quote, please permit us to be born on this planet Earth so that after our appearance, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller and Master of all planets, will also appear and spread devotional service, the ultimate goal of life, to those, so that those born in the material world may very easily be delivered from the miserable condition of materialistic life by accepting this devotional service. Unquote. In his commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms that with the words Parama Bhakti. So Parama Bhakti means great, no? Parama, topmost. The two Sadhakas, Drona and Dhara, prayed for the loving devotion suited to parents of the Supreme Lord. The Acharya further paraphrases their request in this way. Yeah. In the future, others who hear about and glorify the services we rendered to the cowherd boy Krishna will easily attain the same liberation most rare. Okay, so what Drona and Dada obtained, we can obtain by hearing. They are saying it can be done easily. Yeah. The concluding verse of the same chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam confirms that Drona and Dada's desires were fulfilled. They entered into the forms of Nanda and Yasoda, and by witnessing Krishna's pastimes, they experienced the love of parenthood through the agency of Krishna's internal potency. Quote, thus the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, along with Balaram, lived in Vrajabhumi, Vrindavan, just to substantiate the benediction of Brahma by exhibiting different pastimes in his childhood. He increased the transcendental pleasure of Nanda and the other inhabitants of Vrindavan. Yeah. So our principle, one of our principal practices is to hear about Krishna. Yeah. We should have a program in our sadhana that we are directly hearing about Krishna and his pastimes. Yeah. We should try and organize in such a way. There should be something we're reading which is directly about Krishna. Yeah. We hear the philosophy of Krishna, like we're reading Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, and that's the philosophy. But also we need to hear Krishna looking over downhill, yeah, Krishna leaving from the rasa dance, Krishna stealing butter. Yeah, we have to hear about Mother Yasoda trying to tie Krishna. So many pastimes, Krishna dancing on Kaliya's hood. Yeah.
So we should read the Krishna book every time. Krishna book every time, so that on and on. whole our life many, many times.
Yeah.
Is that
And
the
there's many other books as well about Krishna's pastimes. It's unlimited.
yeah.
But it's good is not to forget to do that in our sadhana. Have that. Normally, Krishna Prabhupada, we recommended read Krishna book at night, isn't it?
Yeah.
The book at night. Yeah. And then that if Krishna's pastimes are going to manifest within our chanting, the particular pastimes that will manifest in our chanting will be those ones we've heard. Those will be the pastimes that we will relish in higher levels of Nam Bhajan. It will be the pastimes we have read and remembered. Yeah. We read not once, not twice, we just read it again and again. Yeah. So we may be blessed, the dear holy name may invoke, may manifest in those particular pastimes as we're chanting. Yeah. But we have to put it in. Yeah, we have to put it in to get it out. You understand? We have to open our ears and put Krishna in our ears and hear these pastimes, read the pastimes, hear the pastimes, put it in. Yeah? It will cleanse the heart, it will stay there. And then by Krishna's sweet mercy, we may, you know, as we're chanting, these pastimes may come to the mind, you know. And then that's when chanting becomes very, very tasty. Yeah. Okay, where was we reading from? Right, the conclusion, please, any comments or questions, please feel free to interrupt and offer some comments or questions. The conclusion to be drawn from the evidence of Srimad Bhagavatam and its commentator is that the love that devotees attained by direct seeing Krishna's pastimes is available at any time to Vaishnavas by attentively hearing them. Okay, that's pretty far out. Yeah, the actual, yeah. What those who directly saw Krishna, we can experience by hearing about them. Experience those same emotions. Is absolute, yeah, non-different. This wonder is due to the power invested in the words that glorify Krishna's pastimes. Because Gopakumara had not systematically heard these pastimes from pure devotees, the Vishnu Dutas told him that he had to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Remember that? He got sent back to earth to hear Bhagavatam. And thus be empowered with a kind of love that will qualify him for the Lord's association. But it should be emphasized that the appearance of prema is a gradual process. Okay, sorry folks, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a gradual process. As soon as one steadily hears Krishna's pastimes, okay, steadily hears, daily drinking nectar of Krishna's pastimes, prema makes its appearance in incremental degrees, manifesting different aspects at taste and attachment, so ruchi and shakti. Although shraddha, ruchi and shakti are not mature expressions of love, they are nonetheless its spiritual portions. When bhava, excuse us, need some light here. When bhava is attained, then the sadhaka will be able to appreciate the beginning stage of real transcendental love. So there's love before that, but it's experienced in its real sense, you could say, at the stage of bhava. More will be said of the development of prema through hearing Krishna Lila. However, we must concur that emotion is awakened and cultivated by hearing of Krishna. Indeed, as elsewhere in this book, we now emphasize the importance of hearing from sadhu and sastra to understand the science of bhava seva. So bhava seva means Vipralambha, okay? Bhava means emotion. What emotion do we have as we're doing as seva? Yeah. We shouldn't just be a blank slate. You know, there should be something going on. We should be feeling for Krishna. Mm. Consequently, the science, oh, sorry, I keep interrupting my own reading. Let me read. Indeed, as elsewhere in this book, we now emphasize the importance of hearing from Sadhu and Sastra to understand the science of Bhava Seva of Vipralambha, and consequently the science of service to Krishna. Even without systematically hearing, a devotee can still progress spiritually. However, that progress will be very much dependent on the quality of his chanting, which for the average sadhaka means that their advancement will be protracted. Means it'd be slow, okay? Like trying to run in a swimming pool. Slow, yeah. So it has to, good if our chanting can be above average. Okay, the clear example is Gopakumar, a highly qualified sadhaka who was favored in many ways by the Lord. But without systematic education in Nam Sankirtan, he was clueless about the process of Bhava Seva. So it was slowing him down, not being in knowledge of that. And he was not ready to go back. He had to be educated. His chanting was formalic, means formal, and its ultimate result was moksha or liberation. But when he studied Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of pure devotees, the boy's spiritual life transformed. He was immediately qualified to hear further details of the esoteric practices of mantra meditation, in response to which his spiritual master again appeared and instructed him accordingly. Then, by the combined grace of Sadhu, Guru, and Sastra, Gopakumar could chant with feeling, and thus he gained access to Vaikuntha. So we just read that, very exciting part of Brihat Bhagavatamrita. A serious sadhaka must similarly practice devotional service under the guidance of Bhagavatas. In that way, he can access the standard process of devotional meditation, Nam Bhajan, in the mood of separation. As already mentioned, at some stage in his journey, a practitioner must awaken an attraction to the Rajrasis, and that attraction must become his guiding star. Yeah. So that's called Raganuga Bhakti, where the guiding star, where your inspiration is the Rajrasis. Yeah, that's the Raganuga Sadhan. That's your inspiration. Other than your inspiration to chant is because you've been told to. That's your inspiration, because you made a vow to chant. So you have to chant, and there's all types of nasty things will happen if you don't chant. So I guess I better chant. That's called Vaidhi Bhakti. But more advanced is that you're chant, and because you're inspired by the devotion of the resonance of Vrindavan. Just like we get inspired by our respective spiritual masters, isn't it? Or senior devotees, yeah? Seeing them, hearing from them, seeing their example, seeing how they execute devotional service, it gives us inspiration. So the same thing, but for the residents of Vrindavan, hearing how they serve Radharani, hearing how they serve Krishna, hearing the love of Mother Yasoda, that's what gives us joy in our devotional practice. That means one is stepping into the realms of Raganuga. Right? Nothing changes externally. This is all internally. Okay. Any questions on that? No. It's okay. Okay, yeah. He was a million. A serious sadhaka must similarly practice devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas. In that way, he can access the standard process of devotional meditation, Nam Bhajan, in the mood of separation. As already mentioned, at some stage in his journey, a practitioner must awaken an attraction to the Rajas, and that attraction must become his guiding star. According to Rupa Goswami, a devotee who understands the essence of the teachings becomes Vraja Janonoga. Tannamo Rupi Charidari Suketananos Mityo Kramena Vasana Manaso Nayoja Tishtan Vajetat Anurago Junanugami Bakalam Nayat Akilam Iti Upadesha Saram. So, what's the essence of all advice? Upadesha. Right. What's the essence of all advice? Is this quote: the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Braj, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One who follows in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So this is from Bhakti Rasmrita Sindhu. Nectar of instruction, okay? Text 8. So lots can be said about this verse. It's quite an important verse. But let's go on. The desire to follow the Vajrasis is a general attraction. It's the first step. It's like general. It's not very specific. There may not be a specific personality. It's just in general. Time specifies which of the Vajrasis a devotee has most attraction for. But perhaps for the young gopi friends of Srimati Radharani, the Manjaris, and that same sadhana laden time, and that same sadhana laden time clarifies which of the Manjaris attracts him the most. Okay. Attraction for those divine beings who are out of reach is the genesis of natural feelings of separation. Okay. So that attraction will come. I think Maharaj says in other places, that attraction will come, depends on what you hear, what you're attracted to hear about. You will develop attraction in that specific way. Yeah, if your guru is in the mood of Manjari, yeah, and then you will also develop that mood because you're hearing from him. It's quite a subject. You become attracted to what you hear about, basically. Any questions about this?
I know we heard that in time we will get attracted to someone, some Vrajbasis. But like say even mundanely, if you want to go somewhere, you kind of get to know about that place,
Yeah.
food, people. So you got to read about this Vrajbasis, different.
You're saying you don't read?
I do read, but I'm just saying that you need to read
Yeah.
about them to realize what your nature is and what you connect yourself to. Is it by your own nature you'd connect, according to your nature, you connect to that personality?
Let's just say according to your natural attraction.
Natural attraction.
No, your natural attraction. Yeah, I'm just thinking there's some devotees, some senior devotees who, what's that, Madhav Maharaj, what was his name? he still is quite, he doesn't, he's a
Mother
bit-
Maharaj, Tulsi
Yeah.
Tulsi.
yeah, there was no doubts of what his attraction is. The cowherd boy. Yeah. So that will be most of his guitar will be about the cowherd boys. Yeah.
Then how would he be attracted to which coward boy? There's so many. How
Yeah.
would that come?
That will come from his natural,
Uh-huh.
because we're all parts of it. That's our natural attraction. Will manifest. He'll become naturally drawn to a particular Rajbasi. Yeah. So he would, so not to him, but then and then what happens then is devotee that in order to invoke that attraction more, you hear more about that particular individual's mood of service. Yeah, this is more advanced Raganuga sadhana. All right, it's not perfectional stage. You're practicing sadhana.
Practice, yeah.
You're practicing. So, but you're hearing about particular associates of Krishna. And again, that tat bhava, when you're hearing about them, their mood rubs off on you. Yeah,
Mm.
called tat bhava, So maybe books about, but it so happens, Maharaj will speak later. I'm getting a bit, perhaps this will come later. But Maharaj just mentioned that it so happens that most of the books about Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, it's all about Gopi Bhava. It's all about Manjari Bhav. Yeah? That's the general direction of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And most of our acharyas are going to write. It just so happens they wrote because that's their attraction. So that's what we have more access to. We have more, we know more about that. Yeah, because that's what Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, etc. Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. Yeah, that's their position. Gopis and Manjaris. Right? Okay. Hope we're not going too deep. Hare Krishna.
No, I'm just thinking because they are already Manjaris, so they're
Yeah,
already in that
no,
mood.
but yeah, they're already Manjaris,
Yes.
but they're showing us how to be Manjaris. They are coming as sadhakas. They're coming to show us how to. They're showing us the path in their sadhak forms. Okay, they're siddha, but they have practice, but they have sadhak forms.
Mhm.
So Raghunath Das Goswami is showing how to become attracted in that way. That's why they come. That's what they come to give. Yeah, naturally they have that, but they act as if. And the amazing thing of Yoga Maya is that the Goswamis themselves, they are sadhakas aspiring for perfection.
Mm.
Just like us. I mean, they're not walking around saying, yeah, actually I'm eternally liberated, but I'm just going to make out, I'm going to make out that I'm an ordinary sadhana just to get, just to clue you guys in, actually I'm perfect. That's not their mood. Their mood is Yoga Maya. They are in the world of matter. They are in bodies and they are separated from Radharani. And they cry in anguish for that. And they're showing us. So we follow their path, we hear about like that. Okay.
I got it, yes, because I was thinking they are Manjaris, so they know how to behave like that. But like you're saying, they're in sadhaka mood, and due to Yoga Maya, they
Yeah.
don't really know that I'm a Manjari. They are going towards that path.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes the service to Radharani and their relationship to Radharani becomes fully blossoms within their bhajan. And they enter into samadhi. And then that samadhi breaks and they're back. And they're back in the body of an old man on the banks of Radhakund, separated from Radharani. They have this is the Vilapa Kusmanjali. Yeah. have these. So, yeah. Exciting, huh?
Yeah.
Exciting? Yes.
Really,
Vishnu. Okay. Attraction for those divine beings who are out of reach is the genesis of natural feelings of separation. Okay. So that's so you're attracted for those, you're attracted to that place, so that thing which seems so out of reach for you. But you're attracted to it. And because it seems so far, you feel for it. You feel separation. No? You feel separation. As the devotee's attraction grows, so does his feelings of separation from the Rajrasis role models. Those feelings of separation will inspire him to hear about Krishna's corresponding pastimes with the gopis. And those topics will embed themselves in his heart and become the source of meditations during Nam Smaran. Okay, so they do something about that separation. Yeah, just like the gopis, when Krishna went on the Ras Leela, they did something about that separation. Means they intensely meditated on Krishna and chanted about his pastimes. Yeah, and that was the only thing that could possibly pacify them. Yeah. So in the same way, yeah. This is expressed above by the words Anushmityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyoja. Thus, Vipralambha Seva becomes a function of hearing, a progressive dynamic by which a devotee acquires partial realization of service in separation. Such progressive understanding of Vipralambha gradually matures into an understanding of its transcendental details. Following this all-perfect process of Nam Bhajan, a devotee eventually receives the blessings of his worshipable deities, the Rajrasis, for whose service he exists. In that way, he attains the perfection of bhava. Ecstatic devotion soon matures, and bhajan becomes heavily laden with prema and its magical blessings. Right? This is the process of Vipralambha Bhav spoken of in Vaishnava literature, a path of perfection that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personified, a path of perfection his followers taught. And while devotional literature emphasizes that pure devotion in the mood of separation can only be practiced by those who have acquired knowledge of it, once that process has been perfected, service to the associates of Radha and Krishna progresses without dependence on any other sources. It is self-manifest and fully spontaneous. This is the process of awakening, cultivating, and perfecting feelings of separation. And there's more to come on this subject. Any reflections? Any comments?
So no feelings. If we don't have feelings when we chant and meditate, it's like we haven't realized anything, isn't it?
Well, sometimes it may be like that. I'm sure we have realized something.
Like it's mechanical in the beginning, and then you should start having some feelings. That's why you go to the temple and you see the deity and you go to the program. So you develop that feeling, which will reciprocate.
Yeah, that's a general idea. That's a general idea. Well, we shouldn't want to imitate the feelings. We should be careful. But yeah, we want, eventually, sometimes we may feel that we're chanting the first 4 rounds, maybe a bit dry and a bit mechanical. Then when you get to 6, 8, 10, 12, you may start, your mind might start agreeing with what you're doing. And then you may chant, if you chant 32 rounds, then 48 rounds, 64 rounds, then your mind begins to have not much choice. But generally that's what we associate with devotees, and we join their kirtan where they're expressing their feelings of love to Krishna, so we're joining their kirtan. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Hari Hari. Okay. We may, so carrying on. We may reflect further on the process of cultivating Vipralambha in a way that Srila Prabhupada repeatedly encourages his followers with words like, quote, so we have to develop such Krishna consciousness. Our Gaudiya Sampradaya, our line of God realization, is that separation, feeling of separation. Not that we have got Krishna within our hand, no. The feeling of separation, worship of Krishna, by feeling of separation. It is better than the worship by directly meeting Vipralambha Seva. Yeah, this part is in that little meditation on Vipralambha that I did. Any of those watched that? This comes at the end. Yeah. In the quote above, Srila Prabhupada calls upon his followers to develop. So to develop. We're being asked to develop this. Yeah. It's part of our spiritual practice. It's something that we should be doing. We should be developing this Vipralambha. So how are they to do that? Okay. Just as they develop the physical aspects of sadhana bhakti, just as they develop the physical aspects of sadhana bhakti, the aspects known as chesta rupa. Okay. So chesta rupa means to engage the active senses in the service of the Lord. Yeah, so that's an aspect of our devotional practice. Another aspect is the bhava seva, where we develop the mood of devotion. Yeah, specifically here, the mood of separation. That has to accompany ultimately our chesta rupa. Therein, a devotee first embraces the regulative principles. Those practices result in purification, and purification then leads to succession to taste, attachment, spontaneity, and ultimately ecstasy. Feelings of separation are in a category of bhava rupa, and they are cultivated in the same way as chesta rupa, so activities with the senses. First, the devotee understands the truths of service and separation and why it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's path to perfection. Then he offers prayers, submits before the deity, meditates on Diksha mantras, and chants Hare Krishna, all the while attempting to feel the separation that he intellectually comprehends. Right? So we should attempt to feel it. We're hearing about it, we're discussing it, so we should make an attempt to feel it. By emphasizing with the separation of great devotees, as recorded in scripture, the effort of feeling gains substance through the principle of tat-bhava. Thereafter, taste for the sweetness of Vipralambha awakens natural attraction, which with its moods increasingly suffuses a devotee's nam-bhajan through the stages of smaran, dharana, dhyana, anushmriti, and samadhi. Yeah, we discussed that previously. With the awakening of attachment, a sadhaka experiences the real pains of separation, and those enable him to actually cry after Krishna. When Krishna is addressed with such heartfelt pleas, he eventually bestows bhava and thus the power to fully appreciate his presence. Prabhupada mentioned, isn't it? Perfection of Krishna consciousness can be seen in shedding of tears from the eyes. Yeah. Crying for Krishna. Shall we read more? Maybe feeling separation, we want to hear more. Yes. In the sequence outlined above, two spiritual principles play a dominant role: invoking the sentiment of separation and imbibing the mood of the great devotees of which one hears. Tat bhava. Okay. Through there. We have repeatedly cited the maxim, quote, the practitioner and the means of practice should be in accord with their goal. Okay. Unquote. To experience separation in loving devotion, a devotee must cultivate separation in sadhana bhakti. All right, we're doing sadhana bhakti. We have to cultivate separation. Okay, we don't feel it. Fine, do something about it. Cultivate it in the ways that's being expressed here. Meditate upon it, hear it, and cultivate it. Okay? Okay. By a desire for, by feeling separation from separation. You have to start somewhere, isn't it? You don't feel separation. So, oh, I feel so. I don't. Let me feel separation from separation. Yeah, I may start somewhere. By a desire for Vipralambha, the bud of separation will manifest, and from that bud, the blossom of loving devotion, rich with the fragrance of parting. That perfection for which a practitioner aspires is described by the servants of Lord Narayan thus. Okay, this must be from 6th canto. Let's see. Like the distressed crying of a chakata birds on a cloudless day of the rainy season, or the lamenting of a flock of chakravaki birds when parted from their husbands at night, the sankirtan of the Lord's names arises in one when one is burdened by pain. The pain of separation. And that's from, let me look at that, 16. From Brihat Bhagavatamrita, okay? Okay. The sankirtan of the Lord's names arises when one is burdened by too much pain. This is the pain of separation. Although the Nam Sankirtan described above is the mature manifestation upon the tongue of a loving devotee sorely afflicted by the pangs of separation, the picture that it paints is one hankered after by the true Sadhaka. To feel separation from Vipralambha is the beginning. The dynamic of Tat-bhava creates into Tat-bhava again is associating and hearing with those who are feeling. Yeah? That creates an impression within the heart, and that impression gradually ignites feelings within the practitioner. All right. So I guess we could say, you hear about Norton Das Thakur and his heartfelt crying for the divine couple, Rupa Goswami, you hear about it, and that mood, then you kind of, then you have a little insight into that mood, to their mood. Then you take a picture of that emotion within your heart. Yeah, you've had a glimpse of it. So you take a picture of it within your, within your mind and in your heart, And then that's what Maharaj is saying here. Then that will ignite your feelings. Yeah? That will ignite your specific personal feelings. A roaring fire within a hearth can be transported by a sliver of wood to another cold fireplace, where with proper care, one can start a similar blaze. So nice example, isn't it? In like manner, hearing about Vipralambha in association of the Lord eventually brings about corresponding feelings in a sadhaka, like the Chataka and Chakravati birds in the last verse. A devotee must learn to call out for feelings of devotion, call out for Krishna's mercy, call out for eternal service. Srila Prabhupada says that the devotee must learn how to cry for Krishna. This need is beautifully detailed by his divine grace in the Nectar of Devotion. So now there's 2 paragraphs coming from the Nectar of Devotion. So I'll just read those from Prabhupada. And I've got to jump on my bike at 7, so I'll just perhaps finish with this. Or, yeah, or 7 o'clock here. Yeah. Quote, in the same Narada Pancharatra, there is another expression of submission, wherein a devotee says, quote, my dear Lord, O lotus-eyed one, when will that day come when on the bank of the Yamuna I shall become just like a madman and continue to chant your holy name, while incessant tears flow from my eyes? One should feelingly pray and become eager to render his particular type of service to the Lord. This is the teachings of all great devotees, especially Lord Chaitanya. In other words, one should learn how to cry for the Lord. One should learn this small technique. So one should learn this small technique, not artificially like these sea hajias who are doing all types of immoral activities and in their illusion trying to cultivate these moods of separation, not like them. Yeah. But we should, yeah, we've read, this is called lolium. And such tears are the price for the highest perfection. If one develops this lolium or excessive eagerness for meeting and serving the Lord in a particular way, that is the price to enter into the kingdom of God. All right, so perhaps we'll pause there, okay? There's another section coming up. Okay, hope that was of interest. It's nice to hear, isn't it? These topics.
much.
Okay, so thank you everyone, and I'll keep you updated about Wednesday's Bhagavad Gita. Okay, yeah, just got to see what's going on at the school here. Okay, so thank you everyone for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yes, praise Lord Prabhu ki jai.
Oh,
Aye.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Bol.